Hi. Hi. Hello, everybody. This is Philip Martin, and this is on film, on video, for August 20th, 2021. And I don't know, if you're paying attention, if you're looking at the section, you will see that this week I don't have a new movies column. And I don't have a new movies column this week because we have a lot of new movies. We've got reviews for all of them, and I wanted to take this opportunity just to say that, we're back up to speed. We're doing really well here. And I want to welcome to the program Mr. Keith Garlington, who is a veteran film critic. He's worked for his own site, Keith in the Movies, for years, probably a decade and a half. I don't know, but a long time. I've been aware of Keith, and he's sometimes contributed to our panels and stuff like that. We want to welcome him on board this week. He'll be writing the occasional review for us. Dan Lybarger will still show up sometimes, but Dan got, I want to say, a real job. Actually, I think he's busier at his real job than he has been before, so his presence will, decrease, but we will see Dan occasionally. I think he has something coming in next week, so we'll keep that going. Of course, we still have Piers Marchant doing stuff for us from Philadelphia, and we just found out he's going back to Toronto, although I think it's virtually this year. And so those housekeeping things, I just wanted to bring you along. Courtney Lanning actually has another review that's separate from her platform diving column this week, so everybody is helping out except me. This is the first section in a long time where I haven't written anything for, which makes me feel weird because I've always considered myself first a writer and, in an editor of last resort, because I would much rather be writing stuff than editing it. Not that these people are hard to edit or anything like that, or that it's a chore to put this section together. It actually isn't. It's actually a lot of fun, but it's not what I consider my highest and best use, and therefore I like to keep my hand in every once in a while. I like to keep the punk, but there's just no room at the end this week, so congratulations, you guys. I'll take a seat on the bench. There. Well, that's the housekeeping. What else have we got to talk about? Well, it's August. It's August 20th. We're still in the pandemic, and even though we're vaccinated and we're going to movies and we're even going to concerts. I went to my first concert last Saturday. It's still kind of weird. It's still kind of weird to be out there and to be take the precautions you need to partake and listen to the people who know what they're talking about. And maybe we can still get through this. I hope so. I hope that, the New York Film Festival is decided to not have a virtual component this year, which I wonder if they're regretting that now because, I don't know. I just don't. I think that we may be in this for a little longer, and that it may permanently change the way we approach these sorts of film festivals. I mean, I think movie theaters are generally going to be okay because, if you have the precautions and the people social distance and it's funny because theaters now typically, the ones I go to at least, have the big seats and you're sitting there apart from other people. I don't know. I'm interested in how this all shakes out because I'm very interested in the model, the streaming plus theatrical release model is sort of very interesting to me because I do think there are films that benefit from being seen on the big screen. Something like Suicide Squad, I think, felt a lot better on a big screen than it did on your TV. Though I think that you could still enjoy it. And I've seen most of the movies I've seen over the past 30 years. I've seen probably in an environment where there's only 2 or 3 other people, a movie screening or a screener or a DVD that I'm watching at home, So even though I still think that the audience experience is important to have the other people around you. In reality, I haven't really had that all that much. I mean, they used to have screenings here in town in Little Rock in the evening with the real audience. You know, the radio station sponsored them, and they would hand out tickets, but those were really critic screenings that they invited the public to. Usually they were comedies or something like that they thought that would benefit from the crowd. So, you know, it's like you don't want to see a comedy in isolation. You want to have people around you laughing, reacting, interacting with the screen. Okay, so that's the way to see something like that. Though I'm not sure that that's the way we see things anymore. I mean, I think that going to the movies is more and more a special occasion for a lot of us. And I don't know. I wish it weren't that way. I wish it were more like it was when I was a kid, when we would go to the movies every week. I mean, I'm talking about when I was in high school and in college. Typically, I went to a movie every week, and sometimes I went to more than one in a week. And that was something that we built our social lives around. That was a part of the date. You know, you would go to dinner and a movie, or actually movie and a dinner sometimes, depending on how, and our movie, and then go get, pie. And I don't know that it's that big a deal for us anymore. I think that it's more like if you want to go see the Marvel comic universe movie and you're into that, you go to it, And I did get some pushback from some of you people about, offhandedly. I don't get it. It is a sort of like, so I dismissively talk about Hydra. And some people are getting upset. This just proves my point. I mean, I'm not really dissing you guys. I'm saying that it's like religion. It really is. It's sort of like, you're into it. You're into the mythology. I understand that. It's fun. And you push back against it so hard. And it's so funny to those of us who are not invested in this stuff, because it really doesn't matter. It really isn't important to anyone except to you. And it's very important to you. And we respect that. To a point. I mean, you can make fun of people. You can make fun of nerds. Nerds are. Everyone ought to be a nerd in some ways. I really do believe that. I really think that people ought to drill down into something that gives them happiness. They really should. But some people. Okay. Anyway, people who get upset about that, I don't really understand. I mean, you can make fun of me for knowing the starting lineup of the 1969 Pittsburgh Pirates if you want to. I'm not going to write you mean letters. I'm not going to try to make you feel bad about yourself. All right, and if you want to try to make me feel bad about myself, go ahead, take a shot. I mean. Take a shot. Come on, Marvel guys. Come on, DC guys. Fine. You like this stuff. I get it. And it's, like I said, it is perfectly wonderful that you do. And wherever you find your happiness, I'm glad for you. But I'm not going to cede all seriousness. I'm just not going to obey your rules. It's not my tea party. But anyway, okay. I want to talk about the White Lotus. One of the frustrating things about my job is that there's no clear line anymore between, what you're supposed to write about, at least for me. I mean, sort of like I could write about the White Lotus, but I'm watching the White Lotus in real time, which is the way it ought to be watched, with other people. And I'm watching as it comes out on HBO. It's over now. I'm just finished. You can watch it now you can binge it. Now you can sit there and watch the whole thing straight through if you want to. If you've got HBO Max. But watching it, I liked watching it in discrete, dosages. It's being handed out on a weekly basis. It's part of the experience for me. I mean, I really. I don't need more than an hour of it a week. And is it noon? Nope, not noon. It's not noon. That's not the noon whistle. That's just the train. But it's an interesting series. I'm going to be doing I think when we come back to our live quest in 2022, when I start doing my class again in a classroom, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Mike White's previous HBO series, Enlightened. I think I'll do the first season of that. I don't know how many episodes there are or anything like that. And, we have a certain number of classes. We have a certain number of hours, so I may not get through it. Like with Deadwood, I couldn't get through Deadwood. I couldn't get through the Decalogue, so I probably can't get through Entitled either in a class. But I want to go back and look at it because I want to look at the way he, his critique of the dominant, of the, the elites, of white rich people, it's a very interesting thing for somebody who comes from his background because he, upper middle class, his father was Mel White, and you probably know that story. If you don't, Google it. Google Mike White and Mel White and find out all about that. I'm not going to go into it right here. But, he's an interesting guy, and he's an interesting way with this cringe comedy, which is something I'm not always on board with. But there's something about Mike White's sensibility that makes me go, yeah, they really deserve that. They really do deserve that because a lot of us are really blind to the advantages we it goes back to Fitzgerald and, what Nick Carraway's father said, be careful because not everyone has had the advantages you've enjoyed. And that's true of all of us, no matter who we are, no matter how put upon we may feel, we do have certain advantages over other people who have not enjoyed them. I grew up as I grew up, not rich, not poor, with a solid family unit, but whatever. Those are things that you've got that have nothing to do with you, that you didn't earn them, you didn't, work for them, you just got them. You just got this solid home life. You just got this good mom and good dad. Not everybody gets that. Not everybody has that opportunity. And we don't tend to factor that into any of our thoughts about how we live in the world and, well, other people live in the world. And we, maybe we give it some lip service and stuff like that. But White Lotus really makes you critique this stuff. I mean, if you are somebody who can recognize, like, what's going on in the series, you're pretty much identifying with the villains because everybody is pretty much a villain in this. There's a couple people who probably aren't, a couple characters who aren't villain characters, but just about everybody in this is a villain, and just about everybody in this believes that they are the hero, that they are enlightened, that they have this good social karma thing going on, that they're the good guys. And you might be the good guys, but you still have these areas of blindness and these things you're not quite willing to do. You're not quite willing to take, as Woody Guthrie said, to take all your money and give it to the poor. You're not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that. I mean, everybody likes nice things. Everybody likes a certain level of comfort. But your comfort, your creature comforts, derive from the cheap labor of other people in other parts of the world that you never see. And even when you see them, you don't see them. And if you are a moral person, or you want to be a moral person, you interrogate yourself about this stuff occasionally, maybe all the time. Maybe, you just like shrug it off and say, there will be poor always, pathetically struggling. Jesus Christ Superstar, coming up on his 50th anniversary. Yeah, but it's a really interesting series if you are willing to actually think about what's going on. You don't have to. I mean, I think you can watch this thing and you can appreciate the comedy of Jennifer Coolidge, the Australian actor who plays and I don't know who he is. He plays Armand. I don't know his name. I've never seen him in anything that I recognize. I'm sure he's been around. And it would be he would be the breakout star of this series, I believe. The Jake Lacy is wonderful as a total douchebag. I mean, that's just sort of like what he plays. And I remember Jake Lacy being just the nicest guy in the world when he was in Girls. What's her name? How Soon We Forget. It was a series with Adam Driver, and I can't remember her name. That's terrible. She did Tiny Furniture. Oh, okay. Well, she's around. She was actually in the Quentin Tarantino movie last year, which I really liked. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. See, I can remember some things. But anyway, it's a fascinating series, and it's only 6 episodes, I think, which is about right for me. I think 6 episodes is a good number. 6 hours in the company of these people, in the company of this luxurious resort on. Karen told me it was on Maui. It's a 4 seasons on Maui, and I'm not sure about that because I've been to Maui. See, I have been to Maui, and didn't stay in the 4 seasons, stayed in a resort down the road from it, which was pretty nice. I mean, stayed in a nice resort, okay. And we had a really good deal, and it had a golf course, and it was wonderful, and I played the golf course. And, I've done this, it's sort of like I have been some version of these characters. I have been the guy who comes into vacation in this paradise where all these people, have been exploited or whatever. It's sort of like it is not a comforting thing to watch this show sometimes. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that. I didn't get a chance to write about it because where are you going to put that? It's sort of TV, but it's not really TV. It's HBO. And we haven't figured out a good way to cover these things. Now, we have written about some things. I mean, because sometimes we'll get screeners, get them in advance, and then we can do something on it, like the HBO series, the one that was set here, the True Detective, the one that was set in Arkansas. We wrote about that because of the Arkansas connection, and the people that were in it there were Arkansans in it. So there's obviously a hook that we need to get to. But there's so much stuff out there. You cannot, just do everything. It's impossible. I mean, I can think of what I'm watching now. I'm watching this Candice Renoir. That's just a French TV series. I'm watching Blood, which is an Irish TV series. I have to turn the subtitles on for it. And actually, I think Acorn, which is one of my favorite services, and they're both of these shows are on Acorn. And Acorn actually, I think, turns the subtitles on automatically for Blood, which is funny because it's an English language show. But I started it up last night, and I swear the subtitles just came up. I didn't have to turn them on. So maybe that shows you what they think of us Americans who can't really be bothered to pay attention and listen closely. All right. Anyway, so I'm watching this, I'm watching that. I would love to write about Candice Renoir, even though it's like, I think these episodes I'm watching, I think, are from 2013. So it's an eight-year-old series, but it's new to me. It's new to Americans. I don't think it's been available in this country before this year. Blood, I don't know how long ago that was. Probably a few years, couple years at least. I think it's probably 2018 or something like that. I'm still into 19-2, which started in the middle of the decade, and 19-2, which is the Canadian cop show. And I'm watching the English language version. I'm sure the French language version is probably out there someplace. I probably need to look that up, because it's probably on some streaming service, and it's the first one, and I probably should look that up, because I bet it's really good too. And maybe it's like people always say, the original is always better than the derivative that you caught on to. It's like there's always a hipper than thou guy who's going to say, well, I watched it in the original French. Well, okay, I might go back and find it in the original French. I don't know. And 19.2 leads you to Letterkenny, which has the same lead actor, one of the same lead actors, Jared Leto. Not Jared Leto, I can't remember his name, Kiso. But he's, and he's a fantastic actor. Plus, he's really ripped. And I just keep digging into these things. And I would love to write about them all. But, we are still bumping up against convention. And that's one of the things that we're trying to break out of. But it's hard for all of us. It's hard for me. I still want to get every movie that opens in Arkansas in this section every week. I want a review of it. I want a review by one of our guys. This week we have a Paw Patrol review done by a Washington Post writer. That's fine for something like that, but I would really, really like to have a consistent set of voices that belong to us and have them commenting on this stuff every week. That's becoming more and more difficult for a number of reasons. A proliferation of movies, for one thing. Demonic opened just in Fayetteville this week. Now, I don't know whether we're going to have a review of it in our newspaper or not, but it just opened in Fayetteville. It didn't open in Central Arkansas or any other place that I can tell. So, it might have opened someplace, but it didn't open, the sources I use, I couldn't find it any place except Fayetteville. So, okay, maybe we ran the review. Maybe we're going to hold off and run the review next week. I don't know. But I'm tied to that. I don't know why. I really would like to break that down and, write about things when we have a chance to write about them. Write about, if there's something that we miss, write about it the next week. We've done that a little bit. People seem to be accepting of it. I haven't had any pushback on it, but it's still different, and it's still something that I have to get used to. So anyway, that's basically all I want to say this week. It's just kind of a housekeeping sort of moment for us, but we're moving forward. We're in late summer now. I was just told the other day to be ready for the top 10 list and for the end of the year screeners to come out, and you better check your address and make sure everything's right so you get the screeners sent to the right place. And we will. And I still haven't filed the screeners from last year. So that's how it goes. Anyway, take care. We'll see you next week. We'll see you at the movies if you go, because we do. And wear a mask and be safe. Vax yourself.